Welcome back to the channel, soap fans. It is a fantastic day to dive deep into the endless drama of Genoa City. Grab your favorite cup of coffee, settle in, and let us unpack the explosive twists heading our way. The illusion of safety in Genoa City is about to shatter into a million jagged pieces, and let me tell you, the fallout is going to be absolutely spectacular. We are currently looking at a canvas painted with corporate backstabbing, interrupted life-saving medical procedures, deeply emotional family confessions, and a terrifying monster who simply refuses to stay buried in the desert. If you thought the recent explosions in Las Vegas were the climax of this storyline, you need to brace yourself. Because the real shockwaves are just beginning to hit our favorite characters right where it hurts the most. Let us start with the absolute bloodbath happening in the corporate suites of Newman Enterprises and the Summers conglomerate. Victoria Newman is currently operating at a level of cold, calculated ruthlessness that would make even her father shiver. She is actively mapping out a flawless offensive and defensive strategy against Phyllis Summers. Victoria has officially handed over a stack of highly incriminating, AI-generated emails to District Attorney Christine Romalotti. Now, Christine is no fool, and she immediately noticed that these documents implicate not just Phyllis, but also Billy Abbott and Kane Ashby in this massive corporate theft and illegal takeover. Victoria, showing her true ice queen colors, minimized Billy's involvement to protect the father of her children, but she is more than happy to let Kane and Phyllis take the devastating fall. This brings us to a massive, burning question regarding Phyllis Summers. We all know we know that Phyllis is a cornered tiger who never, ever goes down without a fight. Since Victor originally used this highly advanced artificial intelligence program to manipulate Arabesque and Matt Clark, it is incredibly naive to think Phyllis just walked away empty-handed. I am highly suspicious that Phyllis has created her own ultimate insurance policy. It is entirely plausible, and frankly expected, that Phyllis secretly kept copies of the AI source code or hidden evidence of Victor's original digital crimes. When her back is against the wall and the threat of federal prison is looming over her head, you can bet your last dollar that Phyllis is going to pull out a hidden thumb drive and threaten to blow the entire Newman Empire to kingdom come. My honest commentary on this corporate war is that Victoria might be underestimating her opponent. Victoria is playing chess, but Phyllis is playing with dynamite. Phyllis has survived worse odds, and her sheer desperation makes her the most dangerous woman in Wisconsin right now. However, the absolute tragedy of this corporate maneuvering is the catastrophic collateral damage it is causing to innocent lives, specifically to Malcolm Winters. Because of the DA's intense investigation into Phyllis's illegal property acquisitions and corporate theft, Kane Ashby's deep involvement has suddenly been thrust into the harsh light of a criminal probe. Just as Kane was preparing to undergo the grueling, life-saving bone marrow transplant to cure Malcolm's aplastic anemia, the authorities and the legal ramifications have violently interrupted the medical process. Imagine the sheer horror of this moment. Kane is in his hospital gown, prepped for a procedure that will save a beloved patriarch's life, and suddenly, the sins of his corporate alliances with Phyllis bring everything to a grinding, terrifying halt. The emotional devastation in the hospital corridors is palpable. Lily Winters, who had just allowed her heart to soften toward her ex-husband because of his selfless heroism, is now watching her father's only lifeline be ripped away by a criminal investigation. She is utterly heartbroken and desperate. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Devin Winters. Devin has been blinded by toxic paranoia and hatred for Kane for weeks. When the news drops that Kane is implicated in Phyllis's crimes and the surgery is delayed, Devin is going to feel a sick, twisted sense of vindication. Devin will undoubtedly use this to scream, "I told you so," completely ignoring the fact that Malcolm's life is literally fading away by the second. Looking at the Winters family, my heart breaks for Lily. She is trying to hold on to hope, but Devin's unhinged behavior is destroying their family legacy. Devin is so consumed by his bitterness over his custody battle and his hatred for Kane that he cannot see the bigger picture. Kane, for all his past faults and corporate mistakes, genuinely wants to save Malcolm. Seeing his chance at redemption snatched away by Christine's investigation is a tragic twist that proves in Genoa City, your past sins will always find a way to ruin your present good deeds. Meanwhile, miles away from the sterile hospital and the cold corporate offices, a profoundly emotional and raw moment is taking place at the Newman Ranch. Nick Newman, completely stripped of his pride and broken by the horrors of Las Vegas, has finally faced the darkest demon in his life. Standing in his father's living room, Nick completely breaks down in tears and confesses the absolute truth to Victor Newman. He admits to his severe fentanyl addiction, a terrifying dependency that spiraled out of control during the chaotic pursuit of Matt Clark. What makes this scene so incredibly powerful is the presence of Adam Newman. Historically, Adam would have used this weakness to destroy his brother. Instead, Adam steps up as Nick's steadfast anchor, confirming to Victor that Nick is already enrolled in an outpatient rehab facility and attending meetings. Victor's reaction is the true shocker here. Instead of his usual booming disappointment or controlling rage, Victor absorbs the heartbreaking reality of his son's vulnerability. In a rare, beautiful moment of paternal grace, Victor pulls his weeping son into a deep embrace, assuring Nick that he believes in him and that they will get through this dark chapter together as a family. I have to say, watching the evolution of the Newman man is a masterclass in character development. Nick taking accountability for his addiction, rather than just blaming Matt Clark for drugging him, shows immense growth. Adam acting as the supportive brother is the redemption arc we have all been waiting for. And Victor, setting aside his iron-fisted patriarch persona to simply be a loving father to a broken son, is the kind of emotional payoff that makes watching this show so incredibly rewarding. They believe the worst is over, they believe the nightmare is behind them, but they are so tragically wrong. Over at the cozy cottage, Sharon Newman is relying on her trauma-hardened survivor instincts, and those instincts are screaming that something is terribly wrong. Sienna Bacall is sitting in Sharon's living room, sobbing uncontrollably and swearing up and down that she killed Matt Clark in the desert to protect Noah and the family, but Sharon is not buying it. Sharon knows the monster that is Matt Clark better than anyone. She survived his abuse, his stalking, and his psychological torture. So, when Sharon gently but intensely begins to cross-examine Sienna about the exact details of the confrontation, the cracks in Sienna's story become glaringly obvious. Sienna's memories are blurry. She remembers the chase, she remembers the struggle, and she remembers Matt lying on the ground. But when Sharon pointedly asks the most critical question, "Did you check his pulse?" Sienna completely falls apart. She admits she didn't, yet she frantically insists he was dead. The pressure becomes too much for Sienna's fragile mental state, and she rushes out of the cottage in a panic, leaving a deeply concerned Noah to chase after her. Noah is blinded by his love and his desire to protect his girlfriend, but Sharon is operating on cold, hard logic. How on earth could Sienna, in a chaotic desert scuffle, definitively defeat a seasoned, psychopathic survivor like Matt Clark? The math simply does not add up. My commentary on Sienna is a mix of pity and intense frustration. She is clearly traumatized, but her foolishness is putting the entire Newman family in grave danger. She is clinging to a false narrative because she desperately wants to be the hero who saved Noah, but by lying about the certainty of Matt's death, she has left the front door wide open for a slaughter. Noah is going to have his heart absolutely shredded when he realizes his girlfriend's deception has endangered his family all over again. And here is the terrifying, undeniable truth that Sharon suspects and that we already know: Matt Clark is alive. Roger Howarth stated in a recent interview that his character's storyline is far from over, and the on-screen evidence is chilling. While the Newmans are hugging and crying and moving on with their lives, Matt Clark is sitting in a gritty roadside diner in Nevada. He is bruised, he is bleeding from a severe head wound, but his eyes are burning with that familiar, psychotic fire. He ignores the waitress's concern and asks a single, horrifying question: how far is it to the Genoa City Athletic Club? Matt Clark is not hiding. He is not running away to start a new life. He is marching straight back into the heart of Genoa City to finish the bloody work he started. The GCAC is the central hub for the Newmans, and Matt knows exactly where to find his targets. So, what is going to happen next? My prediction is that the collision of these storylines will be apocalyptic. I predict that Kane Ashby, desperate to save Malcolm's life, will be forced to make a devastating legal deal with Christine, perhaps offering to testify against Phyllis to clear his own name so the transplant can proceed. This betrayal will push Phyllis over the edge, causing her to unleash her insurance policy, exposing Victor's darkest secrets to the world. Meanwhile, Matt Clark will arrive at the GCAC right when the Newmans are celebrating Nick's early steps in recovery. Matt will use the element of surprise, shattered by Sienna's lie, to launch a psychological and physical attack that will leave Genoa City reeling. Noah will have to face the brutal reality of Sienna's deception, and Audra Charles will be waiting in the wings to pick up his broken pieces. The stage is set for absolute chaos, and no one is safe. What do you think about Phyllis's secret insurance policy? And do you believe Kane will sacrifice his freedom to save Malcolm? Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below, and do not forget to share this article with your fellow soap-loving friends so we can all debate the madness together.